Marshmallow challenge. How many of you have done this before? I know some of you have. A few, not too many. So the basic instructions today are you're going to build the tallest freestanding structure that you can. I have 10 sticks of spaghetti, a yard of tape, and a marshmallow. The marshmallow has to go on top, has to be whole, so don't break it, don't eat some of it, don't try and further dehydrate it. It's just the marshmallow as it appears. So you can use your tape, you can use the fishing line that you have. There's scissors around if you need them to cut the fishing line. And just try and build the tallest structure that you can, okay? Must be freestanding, so don't try and hang it off the ceiling. Don't try and disassemble your chair and stack it on top. One caveat is these desks are small, so if you want to use floor space or whatever you can find, you're free to do that, okay? Marshmallow has to be on top. It has to be whole, okay? So no ripping marshmallows in half and putting them as the feet. Putting a little bit on top. Whole marshmallow on top. Freestanding structure. You can rip and break and tear your tape and your string and your spaghetti, but you may not use your bag, and you can't use the scissors as a structural utensil. Okay? No adding in more materials. You guys in the back can fill in your team back there. So your team's by rows. So you have bags by rows. So if some of the teams over here are really big, want to join the smaller teams over here, do that now. But if not, go ahead and get to work, and we will put up a timer for 18 minutes. Can't use the bag. Mallow? Can't use the bag. You want marshmallow to eat? Okay. 23 and a half. So Manaz is going to measure hers. If she wins, you all lose your credit. Not freestanding. Close. You guys just made it. She got a 0, so you all get your credit. Okay, so please do come pick up your spaghetti before you leave. Those of you who couldn't get it to stand up and there crumbles on the floor. So that was fun and interesting. Some of your designs. The circus tent back there was definitely prettier than the winning design, but you got to give credit to where credit is due. It's all about the height. So. Okay, so Marshmallow Challenge. This comes from a TED Talk a few years back by a guy from Autodesk, and originally started with this guy Peter Skillman. So he came up with this concept as a way to teach teams about prototyping and iteration, get them to move on past over-designing things. So the challenge, as what you just did, was 20 sticks of spaghetti, a yard of tape, a yard of string, and 1 marshmallow. And the goal was to build the tallest challenge. Here are pictures of people all over the world building the same kind of junky towers that you guys did in a bunch of different settings. And they've run through and done this activity probably thousands of times now. And they found that it's a simple activity, but there are deep lessons that you can learn from it. Okay? So the first lesson is that prototyping matters. Okay? So if we look at typical progress of one of these sessions, the team gets together, they spend the first several minutes orienting. So they figure out what's in the bag, what do we have, and then they usually do some kind of pecking order thing. We figure out who's in charge, who's going to step forward and lead, and who's going to follow. And you waste some time that way. And then you plan out. So you sit there and you think, what is our tower going to look like? How are we going to put it together? What's our structure? Okay, think it through. And then you spend most of your time building your one tower, okay? And then you get it done, you say, ta-da, look at our cool tower, right? And you're really excited. But most of the time, that ta-da turns into an uh-oh. Because you get this one, or that one, or that one, or that one, or about half of them that were on the ground, maybe more, right? So why does that happen? So who consistently performs poorly on this kind of thing? It's a little embarrassing when I show you these statistics because there's a column in here in a minute for engineers. You guys definitely underperformed on that. But the good news is most of you are young and you still have a way to progress to be real engineers as we go forward. So who performs really badly is recent business school graduates. That probably doesn't surprise most of you who are going into engineering. Your friends are in management, and you say, yeah, I believe this. So you'd be on his cell phone, not paying attention. Although some of you are doing that. These two in the back don't look like they know anything about what they're doing. You guys got a pink shirt on or something. And they're drinking water out of wine glasses. Clearly don't know what they're doing. So consistently, people in business in general perform poorly. Who performs really well at this? Recent kindergarten graduates, okay? So some of the best performers in this, aside from professional engineers, are kindergartners. So my 4-year-old probably could get a tower to come off the ground. And she hasn't started kindergarten yet. So that should be embarrassing for you guys. But you look at some of the towers that you can see here, you get some really creative structures, and they tend to have unusual shapes. And why is that? What is it about a kindergartner that makes them better at this than an adult who has an education of some sort, right? Why does that happen? And the reason is because where your business student, and a lot of you just did, was you oriented, you planned, you built, and then you tested it right at the end, right? You got to the end and you stuck the marshmallow on top and crash, down it came, okay? How many of you put the marshmallow on the spaghetti within the first 5 minutes? The winning team did. Does that tell you anything? So kindergarten students iterate. They try it out. So the first thing they do is stick the marshmallow on top. And they start building the structure from there, and it falls over and breaks, and they say, oh, that didn't work. And then they try something else, and then it breaks, and they say, that didn't work, and they keep building the structure up. So they don't plan it all out, build it, implement it, and hope that it works, okay? So big lesson learned from the kindergarten students is prototype, iterate, fail early and fail often. Fail as quickly as you can so you learn those lessons, okay? And that's a hard lesson to learn, especially for you guys who are all in your undergraduate educations where you constantly take exams and quizzes and homework where you are given a problem and you're supposed to get it right and turn it in, right? So you go take an exam, no one rewards you because you got the problem wrong, but you learned something really cool along the way, okay? Well, unfortunately, that mindset doesn't fly very well when you go out to work, okay? So you need to prototype, you need to fail fast and fail often so that you can learn lessons and move forward, okay? So in many of your projects, your EPICS projects, you guys get together at the beginning of the semester, you form a grand plan and a Gantt chart, and you start working away building some complex device or whatever it is that you're building. And then you get to the end and you've tried to build it and you go out to test it with your project partner and it stinks, right? So please try as you go forward, build it out of paper and cardboard. Try something early. Let it fail. See where it goes wrong before you spend that time, okay? So prototype cheap, and then when that works, then prototype expensive, okay? So move forward as you go with your time and with your money and your effort. Start with the basic, simple thing you can. Put the marshmallow on top right off the bat and see where the weak points are, see where it fails, okay? So all of your projects have a marshmallow, right? They have some underlying assumption because a marshmallow seems really light, right? There's not much to it. So you think it won't take much to hold it. And then you build the structure up and you find that they fall over, right? Right? So you have those marshmallows. So find the marshmallow in your project. Find that hidden assumption that you think is the easy thing and get to it right off the bat. Okay? Find that user need that you're missing, the thing that your project partner really needs that they didn't know how to articulate to you. Find that hidden secret thing in your project that you need to get done. And then prototype, refine. Keep building it that way. Okay? So some more interesting lessons, slightly less applicable to us in EPICS, but that are interesting nonetheless. Diverse skill sets tend to matter. So if we look at some of the statistics on building these structures. The average height is about 20 inches, so we exceeded that in one of the groups, and we failed to meet that in many groups. So you see business school students do significantly worse than average. That's no surprise to me, as do lawyers. Kindergartners do well above average. And if you look at architects and engineers, people who have training in building structures, like many of you may someday. I know some of you told me you were going to be a civil engineer. Some of you who had terrible towers. Who are talking about something else, right? Going to be a civil engineer? The exact same number. Yeah. So these challenges, do they give 20? Is that true? Why did somebody not point that out to me on this slide? Oh, man. You guys did a really good job with 10, huh? Sorry about that. So you guys did way better than average, except for all of you that got a 0. How many of you got a 0? How many of you think if you had 20, you'd have done any better? Yeah, a few? Yeah, I don't think so, because I could use one piece of spaghetti and get it above 0, right? I could just break it into 4 pieces and make it a table. So you guys failed right off the bat. So you guys didn't live up to architects and engineers. Well, you probably outperformed CEOs, but what they really found that was surprising. What they really found that was surprising was the group of CEOs. So these are extremely intelligent people. Maybe don't have the same technical training as architects and engineers, but an extremely intelligent group. This is a team of CEOs working together. Did okay, but when they added in an executive administrator, which is someone who's good at facilitation and getting people together and working as a group, their scores went way up. Okay, so what they find is that diverse skill sets matter, right? So if all you have on your team is 5 electrical engineers, and you all just want to sit and work in a silo, it doesn't work very well. So diverse skill sets matter. So all of you who are engineers on teams with people who aren't engineers, say thank you to them because they help your projects a lot. Because not only having diverse educations, but having diverse skill sets and diverse personalities makes better teams, okay? So formula for success, specialized skills plus facilitation skills, okay? So this one is just kind of an interesting tidbit, but outcomes tend to, adding an incentive tends to magnify the outcomes. So if you look at the average team performance, so if we have 10 teams, you have a few who perform really well, a few in the middle, and then a bunch that break, okay? Now, if they add in a $10,000 check, so they did this in one of the challenges, said whoever wins gets $10,000. Would you guys feel more motivated? Okay. So here were the average scores in an average team again. When they added in the high stakes, they looked like this. Okay. So every team overreached and tried to build it too high and tried to plan too grandly, and they all failed and broke. So if any of them had just stuck 4 sticks of spaghetti in the bottom and made a table, they would have won, right? But they didn't. So they went back and did this again 4 months later with the same team of people. So you had done this once before. So those of you who have done this before, did the winning team, had any of you done this before? No? Okay. Well, shame on all of you who have. But generally, having done this before, you build skill, right? So like anything, the first time you do it, you're low skill. So in Marshmallow spaghetti tower design, a little bit of practice makes a big difference. So the second time around, this was the average performance again. So with practice or some high skill level, they went up considerably. Okay? So one team still broke, but in general, they all did really well. So the scores went up a lot. So incentives, so adding an incentive to a project or having a high stakes project, like you really need to get an A, or you really have a community partner who needs something, or when you get into your job someday, there's people's jobs riding on what you're doing, or there's millions of dollars riding on it. If you have incentives but you don't have practice and you don't have those skills, the success doesn't add up. So as you're building teams, keep that in mind. But when you do have those skills, so when you've done it before, you're practiced and experienced, the incentives actually make your performance go up. Okay. So we'll stop that there. So I want to tell you, we'll end a little bit early today, but I do want to tell you one more little bit of a story. This is an old story, I guess a parable of sorts. There was a pottery class, and the teacher in the pottery class said, I want this half of my class to work all semester long on building a perfect piece of pottery. Okay, I want you to build a perfect pot, right? So I want you to spend the semester, I want you to research everything you need to know about pottery and how pottery is done. I want you to design and construct the perfect pot. And at the end of the semester, we're going to have a competition and see who has created the best pot. Okay? I said, this side of the room, I want you to build as many pots as possible. Okay? I mean, you just dive in, just build pots all semester long. I don't care how good they are, just build pots all semester. Okay? And they said, and at the end of the semester, when this side has their contest, if you want to enter your pot, you can enter your pot too. Okay? So the semester went along. This side of the class did a lot of design. They spent lots of time trying to plan out their perfect pot, and they built one pot at the end. And this side had dug their hands in to the point where their hands were cramping and aching from having built so many pots. Okay? Which side do you think produced the best pots in the contest? Right? The side who had practice and had built up skills and had prototyped and iterated and done it over and over and over. Okay? Same thing in engineering design. Okay? So we all want to be masterminds and think through what is the best way to do something and build the most magnificent thing. But if you haven't practiced and you haven't built up those skills, you have no hope. Okay? So prototype. Come up with the first idea you have, the simplest idea, build it the simplest way you can. And if it works, then go more, then build it in a more productive manner. If it doesn't work, then you'll catch it fast and you won't have wasted lots of time. Okay? So we see lots of EPICS projects stagnate, take forever to get done, or never get done because their sites were too big right off the bat. So draw it down, look at a project that you can finish and complete, look for your minimum viable product, and build that. Okay? Does anybody have any questions? Make sense to everybody? Is this fun? Okay, good. Well, I'll let you guys out and on with your day. Make sure that if you